Hello gorgeous ones, it's Michelle here from Mickey Art. I just thought I would do a quick video about how I'm prepping my MDF boards for painting, for acrylic pouring, yay! What I'm doing right now is just rubbing some water all over just to get the whole thing a little bit damp. Oh, hello aeroplane. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Then I'm just grabbing a little bit of gesso and using that water just to help spread it around. Okay, as you can see, this first coat of gesso is pretty thin. Depends obviously how much water you put. You put on as to how much it gets thinned down. Now this is one of 2 or 3 coats, and it depends how the MDF responds to the moisture, how badly I put those brush strokes on, and all sorts of different things as to how many coats I'm going to do. Now it also depends how thick your MDF is as to whether you do one side or both sides at the same time. If you have it quite a thin MDF, it's been known to warp. Many of you have had that experience. So it pays to do both sides at once, and I would start, if I was doing that, I would start on the underside and have something other than my tins to sit it on. Actually, something like this coat hook would work really well. Let me show you what I mean by that, because I've just got my tins under there. If you follow my channel, you'll know about my tins. This coat hook set, I'm going to paint on that, but roughly those points are all about the same size. So if I spin this over, and because we're not, it doesn't need to be perfectly smooth, you know, it doesn't have to be flat when we're doing this. So all you need to do is just have something for it to balance on, and if you're painting both sides at the same time like this, you do need to have, you know, small contact points to have your base on when you flip it over. It's a bit wobbly, but nothing really, you know, that you can't cope with. And again, just getting an evenish coverage all over. Try not to leave too bigger blobs lying around, because it just makes the sanding a little bit of a painful process. So the thinner your MDF, the more likely you are to need to do what I'm doing here, which is paint both sides. This MDF itself is actually 18 millimeters, which is I think 3/4 of an inch from recoil. So, which is basically the thickest MDF you can buy in a standard Bunnings, Mitre 10 type store. So I've done that side. When I flip it back over, you can hardly see the points at which I had it sitting. So now let me show you something. This was perfectly smooth when I started. Let's see if I can capture it. You see there in the middle there, there's a lump, a lumpy bumpy bit, and there's a few of those showing up, and that's what happens when MDF gets wet. Same around the edges. Oops, you went out of focus shot. Same around the edges. It brings up the pile. But the coolest thing is, once this first coat's dry, we can give it a quick sand over, and that will take those off, and then the next coat you're going to have less of a problem, and by the third coat it will be looking fantastic. So I'm going to put this over on my drying rack to dry, and I'll bring over one that I've already got the first coat first and show you what's next. Okay, so here is the one I painted a couple of days ago before I went back to Mum's, just with its first coat, and you can just see, can you? Hope you can see. Trying to get the angle right so that you can see. You can see there's just, as I was talking about before, those little bits that have popped up. So I've just grabbed some sandpaper. This is 212. You can go a little bit finer. And I can just feel the difference where I've sanded, and I'm not sanding much at all. As you can tell, it's just a quick rub over, but it is taking some off. Do need to pay a little bit more attention to the edges. Because where it's been cut tends to flare up a lot more than the smooth parts. So you can see it's not taking me much at all just to bring it up, and the difference when I rub my fingers over the bit I haven't done and the bit I have done, it's like I don't know, the difference between something that's been sanded and something that hasn't. I'm trying so desperately to think of a really cool simile, and I can't. You can actually hear the difference when you're rubbing over it between where you've sanded and where you haven't. And it's just enough to knock the tops off the bumps, really. That's all you're doing, is knocking the tops off the bumps. As I go around, I'm putting it down onto this plastic that's got paint dried on it, and it's picking up the paint. So just make sure you just get a cloth and wipe that down. Just get the bulk of those that dust off. It's quite fine, so you know, if you feel the need to, do it outside, wear a respirator, whatever works for you. Although I can see those little bits, I'm not sure if I can pick it up on the camera. Although I can see those little bits, it's actually because I've knocked the paint off the tops of them rather than there actually being any roughness. There is some roughness, but I'm going to paint it again, so hey. So I'm not going to use quite as much water this time, and I am going to put it into my paint rather than onto my board. And just grab any bits that come out of your pot as you're doing this, guys. It's, you know, it doesn't take much. It's not a precision job required. This is coat 2. Alright. Some of you might be wondering why I've got it in one of my tins and not just getting it straight out of my pot. This gesso is pretty old. I've had it sitting around for a long time. And this is what it looks like when it comes out. It's thick. So I actually always pre-water it down a little bit, just so that I can get those multiple layers of thinness and I don't end up with gigantic brush strokes, because that requires much more sanding, because as this is not canvas, people don't expect to see, after my acrylic pour finishes, brush strokes, because it's a pouring method, not a Now gesso dries very quickly, and they do recommend that you leave it for at least an hour between coats. As I said, this one's been left for about 2 days between coats, purely because I had to leave town. I do recommend going backwards and forwards. This is still a bit thick. Just to make sure you cover the whole thing and you don't end up with my foam brush is dying. You don't end up with bits that have been left without complaining and poverty. Now this one I haven't done the underside, as I said, 18mm. You don't actually need to do both sides. Now if you're wanting to know how I got the circles and the ovals, I cut them myself. By the time you see this, the video for how I cut my circles will definitely be up on my other channel. DIY, give it a try. There'll be a link in the description, maybe even at the end of the video. So please pop over there, support it. I will be it's a new project with me and my family. It's where we give things a try. It's not teaching you skill, well, it is teaching you skills if we achieve the skill we're after, but we're giving things a go. It'll be the kids doing baking and me doing woodworking or sewing. Maybe Glenn will jump in there and do a few things too if the joy excites him. There'll be at least one video every week from me. You've got I've got the footage for the oval one. The circle one will be already up, so subscribe if you want to know how to make oval jigs. I'll also be doing things like making frames and stuff like that, so if you're interested, please pop over there and check it out. So I have given it its second coat. I'm going to put that away to dry, and I will be back once it's ready for its third coat, and then again once it's ready to pour, and so I will see you your time really soon. Okay, so after 2 coats, this is looking pretty good. I am going to put a third coat on because there is still a bit, let me see if I can capture it, a bit of grain. I can't, it's more on the edges that I want to smooth out. Come on, there we go. So I'm going to give it another sand and another coat, and hopefully that will get these edges smoothed out a little bit more, and then we'll be good to go. So this last coat is pretty much straight gesso. It's quite thick, and you'll notice that I'm actually going, you've got lines going this way. From last coat I'm actually going across those lines, and just overall creating sort of like a crosshatch, almost giving it a canvas look by having those 2 sets of lines overlapping. You don't have to do this, but it just makes me feel a little bit better about having lines in my work. It's a wooden canvas, darling. It's supposed to look like that. I usually give my boards a single coat, a quick rub over with the sandpaper before I paint anyway, so just to take any high spots off, so it's not hugely concerning if there are high spots. There we go. Alright, let that dry for one more time, and I'll be able to show you what I will be painting on. And how does it get any better than that? Yay! Okay, so it has dried. The back is still a bit streaky, but that's okay, we're not painting on the back. Well, not this pour anyway. And the front, as I said, has got, let's see if I can capture it. Never know whether I can capture these things or not. But there is a kind of a crosshair type stroke looking thing happening. I do choose to give it one more rub down just to knock the tops off any of those brush strokes that are standing a bit proud. Just because once you know, anything that is bumpy is going to show up in your painting if you are an acrylic pourer. Not hugely, but just enough to be seen. So if it's avoidable, why not? You know? So see, there's quite a bump there. The other thing when you're doing acrylic pouring, because you're letting the paint pour across the surface, the other thing that it can do is it can get trapped on one of these little bumps and not pour evenly. So up to you how much sanding you do. And really, totally your choice. Some of you are just going to go, this is way too much, and I'm just going to pour straight on the MDF. Awesome, go for it. But I will show you a painting that I did on my go live last week, which was on an MDF oval. Oh, I am coming back. And I only had 2 coats, and the second coat wasn't sanded. Now, once again, let's see if I can get it. How do I need to hold it so you can see what I'm talking about? I can't even see from this angle there. You can just see a little bit of a texture. It's not, let me see how else. You can just see a texture in there, and the more layers of gesso, the more sealed it is, and the less of that texture you're going to get. I didn't give this a sand after the second coat of gesso. So we'll be able to compare. We'll be able to compare once I've painted on this one in my next video, what the difference is with this one, and you'll be able to see what that extra coat has done. So dried beautifully, eh? I like it. I love the colours. Hence I've been playing with the colours in my last couple of videos. So there you go, guys. That's how to prepare an MDF board for pouring. Just, you know, just rub your fingers over it. Feel where there are any large lumps. Give it a quick rub. You start to notice a level of smoothness that you prefer when you're painting And the more of these you do, the more you'll know how much you want to leave behind. And yeah, what magic can you create? So once again, if you want to see the jig that I made this on, please go to my other channel, DIY, give it a try. I'd love you to subscribe there, because the next video that's coming up on there is the oval cutting jig. So jump on there, have a look at this. If you want to know how to do the ovals, subscribe. And there will be a whole heap of other art related things like making your own frames and things like that. So yeah, what else can I contribute? That's that other channel is a family channel. My family is, and I, well, technically it's supposed to be a family channel. Whether that actually eventuates, or whether it's just going to be my other channel, we'll see. Damien's, I know, recorded several videos on cooking, baking type things, and yeah, who knows what will show up on that one. It'll all be DIY. It'll all be, we're not professionals, but we're giving it a go. Anyway, if you want to see what is happening to this, then please hit the subscribe button on this channel, and it will come through within the next few days, I would say, because I'm about to pour on it. How does it get any better than that? How much fun can I have, and how much fun can you have creating magic with MDF and paint? What else is possible? I adore you all, and if you want to come play with us on Acrylic Pouring for Fun Facebook group, it's a group of us that love acrylic pouring, making funky designs like this. Keep calm and pour paint, baby. Come join us over there, and what magic can we create? I adore you. Bye bye.